Hey Dad, I wanted to make this video for you to share it on YouTube so you could watch it anytime you want. I'm a little late for your birthday, but nonetheless. This is about our road trip that we took together. On motorcycles, most importantly. Motorcycles, it's funny to think how much time I've spent on them. A passion that you, for better or worse, you gave me, but one that I've always appreciated. It's a place, I think, something that we share as much as anything. A place where we find peace and fun. It's exhilaration. We get to express the things that we love, our excitement. It's our lens into the viewing the world as a child, as a kid, you know, are playful. You get to play. We've always shared that. It's funny, anybody who watches you ride, I don't think they'd ever know how old you were if they watched you ride. And I think that's probably something that's true forever, and I hope so. But I just wanted to make this video to share with you, Dad, to go over all the fun things that we've done and just how much I was really glad we got to do something like this in our life. And hopefully not the last one, but you know, we cruised up through Mammoth in California, from the desert to the mountains. We stayed at a super cold night in Mammoth. We cruised through Yosemite, which was just unbelievable. We climbed El Capitan, not to brag, but we did. Then rode all the way to the coast. We drove down the coast and did a big loop in about a week's time frame, I think 6 days, and it was as good as I'd hoped it to be. And I'm really thankful that that's something that we got to do together, Dad. I just enjoyed this video, got some pictures, got some audio, some video, but I just want to leave it at that, Dad. I love you, man. I'm glad we got to do that. I look forward for the next one.
There you go.
You good?
Yep. Liking it.
Cool.
Feeling good.
We were loaded up. We packed up on the 690 and the 1290, and we were heading out for the ride. It was a beautiful day that morning. From the house, we were headed to Mammoth. It was almost exactly straight north for about 3 hours to our first stop.
Take lots of pictures and make everybody jealous. I want to go on the next one.
That's true.
The 14 is a straight shot. We're surrounded on both sides by mountains. They're both really beautiful. Interestingly enough, the left side doesn't match the right side, which is kind of a cool feature. Pretty flat, high winds, but we had a good time. Our first stop was the Hot Springs. I think it's pronounced Keo. I'm not sure, but we pulled in there, definitely ready for a stop. Legs were feeling it by this point, which is good, but a couple hours in the saddle will do that. But we're excited to soak in the hot springs here and check it out.
Nice.
There we go. Oh, that was a nice little starter route.
Yeah.
Very good. Sweet weather. Not too hot. Very nice.
Yeah, beautiful day for sure.
We soaked in the hot tub and set out and got some sun. It was super nice out. We definitely needed it. We're both pretty pale too. We ate at Old Schatz Bakery for lunch. It was good for sure. We were both definitely hungry after soaking and riding all day. We sat out in the parking lot on the ground and just ate because it was so packed. Both got some sandwiches. Definitely good food though, so it was worthwhile. After we finished eating, we were trying to get to our campsite, which was just a little past Mammoth, up the road, where we knew we kind of wanted to get about there for the night. So we found a turnoff to the right, just randomly, just past the Mammoth turnoff, where this mountain was incredible. It was full of all of this lava rock, very sharp, like lava rock, obsidian. And so that was everywhere, which was really interesting. I'd never seen that before. But we found kind of a little nook off to the right side. We ended up doing a hike to go watch the sunset, which was really cool. Not too far from camp, but just up the hill. Ended up getting set up for the night, and it had some coffee to keep us warm because it started to cool off, and it was definitely a cold night. Dad ended up yakking with me a bunch at the end of the night before we fell asleep, and it was pretty fun, but definitely had a good time. There's some really huge trees over in that area too. Really cool.
Wait, should we go back a little farther?
You want to bushwhack back there a little?
Yeah, a little bit. What do you think? Well,
Yeah.
I'll leave it up to you.
Yeah, I don't. I fucking how wide this thing is. Let's
Yeah, we're good. Oh, right there. That's cool. Look at that big old monster log. Let's go right over there.
Yeah. All right. I can get over there.
be a little break and stuff.
Well, I might just leave. Well, no, I'll bring this over. Fuck it.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. Oh, yeah, there's another camp spot here, too. There, this is pretty nice.
Yeah, let's see that.
Big old monster pine cones.
Nice.
Yeah, and nice. Oh, yeah, we got some nice places, nice and level.
Cool. Only problem there, someone might try to steal the spot by us over here.
Yeah.
Because we're kind of tucked away, but
I don't know.
we'll see.
If they're not here by now on a Saturday.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. If
Yeah,
they're not here by now.
And a lot of people probably are farther back that camp here more regular, you know.
Yeah.
Probably go farther back.
Cool.
Big old monster trees. Yeah, these are pretty cool. Look, those are what, 100-footers easy, huh?
Let's see. 20, 30. Yeah, they're definitely getting up there.
If people blink and stuff. Look at this thing. Yeah. I know, it's huge. What kind of tree is this, Dad?
I wish I knew for sure. I mean, those are beetle killed. Wow.
You think?
The bark looks like a ponderosa.
I'm fairly certain we woke up at about 4:30 in the morning because it was so damn cold. So we got up pretty early and started trying to move around right away, and get some coffee warmed up. First thing, we actually went back into Mammoth to get food because we were closer to there. So we just wanted to go get some breakfast stuff. And we ended up stopping in a place called The Stove, which was really good. Ended up having some food there and fueling up before we were heading out and heading toward Yosemite. It was a quick shot just past Mammoth on the same road to get to the entrance to Yosemite. There's a little gas station called Tioga's Gas Mart. So we stopped in there to get some supplies, food, gas up. There was a little rock shop out in front. You can see Dylan's rock shop, this cute little guy, Dylan, that I ended up trading a piece of that obsidian with for a lava rock that he had to give him that. So that was pretty cool. We got loaded up, got some fuel, and we started heading into the park. Next to driving down the coast, going through Yosemite was probably one of the best highlights of the drive. I mean, it's hard to describe, I think, adequately. And I have some footage up there, but the helmet cam hadn't been charged, and so I couldn't capture as much as I wanted. But we drove through all of it and spent quite a bit of the day winding around through the Yosemite and over to all of the El Capitan and down in that area. And I'll put up some pictures of that. But, man, it was beautiful, and the day was just perfect, slightly cool. We talked about all sorts of stuff, riding and life and philosophy, like a lot of the drive. But we had a great time. It was really fun, really blessed with a good day. And just, it was definitely like a once-in-a-lifetime experience seeing something like that. Even coming from the Rockies, I think a lot of times you get used to how beautiful it is. And this definitely pushes the boundaries of that, which is hard to say because the Rockies are already beautiful. But that was such a cool drive through those mountains, definitely.
Yeah. Well, you and I drove up Risk Canyon one time, didn't we?
Bikes. Yeah, I think that's when you were borrowing Jody's the Triumph.
Yeah. Okay, that's right. I couldn't remember what I was driving.
I think so. I think we kind of did the Risk Canyon back through Horsetooth Loop. I think we did that.
Yeah.
I would bet.
Was good.
Yeah, that was, man, the amount of times I probably did that fucking 1,000 times or something. Like,
yeah.
That just used to be if I wanted to go for a ride, I'd go do that quick loop.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I really had fun before they paved all the Horsetooth and shit. Taking the old 250 up there and ripping her around when I was going to school in Fort Collins.
Yeah, I don't even remember that road not being paved.
Yeah, the Buckhorn was totally unpaved.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You ran out of pavement about 2 or 3 miles out of Masonville going up to Buckhorn.
Naturally, pictures are going to be hard to do things justice. That's just the nature of the beast. But I took a few along the way. This first one here is a big panoramic, which is really cool that our first stop to get it. And we were testing the zoom out on the camera, some of the features that I'm terrible at using. But yeah, we ended up making it through there. And shooting pretty much straight to the valley down where El Capitan is and everything. And just pulled off on the road a couple places. Some of the early shots are El Capitan. We looped around to find the entrance of it. And we ended up climbing up a little bit of it. So when I say we climbed it, we did climb up a little bit, maybe 100 feet max or something, 50 feet. Not much, but it was fun. And so we worked up a good hunger, and so we stopped for lunch. We ended up having some lunch we got stuff from Schatz, so we sat down by the river, and there were some families over there, but we ate at the base of El Capitan. So you could see there that it's sticking out above Dad and trying to get a good. It's really hard to capture just how monstrous that is. It almost doesn't even seem real. It's hard to comprehend just how massive that is, but it was really beautiful. We weren't sure if we were going to stay in the park or not, but we ended up deciding to shoot out of the park for traffic reasons, and there was a little town called Mariposa that we went to, which ended up being such a cool little town that we stayed at. We got a hotel there, stayed that the night, but we ate at a place called 1850, which is a brewing place. We ended up getting I think we ended up having a beer there and just celebrating, which was fun. And I think we had the best, I believe it was the best burger that you said it was on the trip, because Dad had a bunch of burgers at different places, and it might have been one of the two best, I think. The other one being in Malibu. But after dinner, we were just wanting to hang out, so we went and found a little bar, which is really cool. It's a tiny little kind of hole in the wall with a bunch of dollar bills on the wall, and played some pool and hung out, listened to some music, and that was a really fun time. I think I ended up getting you on that game, Dad. But it was really fun. Definitely a good night, and such a cool little town.
All right.
Nice.
Leaving Mariposa.
Mariposa, cool little place.
Yeah, heading west.
Took off early the next morning with the idea of heading straight for the coast. So we wanted to try to get to Santa Cruz, just south of San Francisco there. So it was going to be quite a shot across, but we headed out early, so we started out. It was nice. Really good weather that day. Cool because we started high, but it did start to get warmer as we got down, so we ended up stopping and shedding some layers as we went down. Pretty straight shot, which wasn't too bad. We ended up having to wind around a little bit, cut through the mountains, made it past the reservoir. It was really a pretty good drive overall.
Yeah, individual sovereignty is definitely the way to go instead of social, large-scale social programs.
We knew we were camping on the beach this night, so I got spoiled and I decided to buy us some pillows so we could sleep better in the tent, which was definitely worthwhile, but I had to pack them on. It was fun. So actually, one of the spots where we had to turn around and get back on, we went a little bit too far. We ended up finding some of the flowers that were Grandma's favorite, I think the bougainvilleas. And that was pretty cool to see along the way. We just stopped we stopped for gas and just kind of ate lunch at a gas station there for our lunch so we could keep on the road quickly. So that's where we stopped. And a little guy in this guy that had a little tiny Grom was hanging out and chatted with us for a while.
There's a little Fiat.
Yeah, got that baby rapid.
Yeah, get it. I'm probably carrying more luggage than they are too, you know.
Passing St. Louis Creek and the reservoir there, it's a big reservoir. It probably at least as big as Horsetooth, which was really cool. And after we passed out, it really started warming up quite a bit, so we had to shed some layers not shortly after. So we stopped at a little fruit stand where we were able to change and shed some layers and get some fresh fruit, which was good, and some honey and some almonds and things, and snacked a bit. We made really good time. We ended up actually going south of Santa Cruz a little bit because I just found a spot on the map that looked interesting. It was a state beach that I called, and they had open campsites. So we went there. It was called Sunset State Beach, and it was really nice. The plots are pretty cool. They've got some running water, little specific plots set up, and fire pits and everything. And we were able to get some firewood from the campground host. And we took a hike that night afterward down to the beach so that we could see what was going on there. It's a cool little trail to go down, super nice. Doing some beach combing down, finding some different seashells, wandering around, taking our time. I felt like a maniac, so we'd been sitting for a while, so I decided I wanted to sprint and climb the hill, so I did that. On the way to the top when we were heading out, there was one section at the top where there was this old rusty fence post that had been busted off, but the spike at the top had been sticking out, so it had been sitting there forever and nobody pulled it out. So I decided to pull that damn thing out, and I took it right out. It wasn't that bad, but kind of crazy. It's sitting there just in a spot somebody could fall on, so we took it out. When we got back to the camp, we were both hungry, and we thought, man, we're at the ocean. We probably ought to go get some seafood. So we popped back into town, decided to go find some seafood. Found a pretty cool little spot. Hung out there right after a homeless lady screamed at us that we were parked by trying to find the spot. But seafood ended up being really good. Hanging out there, chatted a little bit, watched a little bit of the game. We were chilling, taking our time. It was a long day of riding to get there. On the way to the food place, we ended up stopping because I had to take a picture of Heidi's future house. This is exactly the home that she'd want to buy, rundown Victorian, so we thought that was pretty funny. I had to get a picture of it. We stayed up late that night talking a lot about life and stories, and you shared a bunch of stories about your life and things, and some stuff about my mom and your guys, which was really cool, and that was fun. We did end up getting a late night raccoon visitor trying to steal our snacks that we had, so we had to get out and kick him out and then lock some stuff up, which was funny. We also had a little morning visitor friend. This little bluebird here came to visit us in the morning when we were packing up and getting ready to head out. So that was pretty cool. Quite a bit of wildlife there. It was a good time.
Spent a month going from San Francisco to LA along the beach.
Oh, man, yeah. If you were to check a lot of the spots out and take your time and shit, for sure.
I just fucking hide out, park your shit out of the way, and pitch a tent, hide out.
Yeah.
Make it so they got to hike a mile just to bother you.
Yeah.
That gets rid of like 99% of the bullshit.
Yep.
We'd finally made it to the coast. Kind of the pinnacle of where we wanted to get for this trip. Something I've always wanted to do was ride down the coast, and we got to do it together. And it was so beautiful. That ride down the coast was just so cool. Definitely could have taken a lot more time, but we zipped on our way down, but enjoyed it and took our time. We didn't worry about going too fast. There was a couple sections where we were getting a little hot rod at one point, and there was another guy on a motorcycle that was following us, which was pretty cool. So we were having fun for the most part, but we were really just enjoying the scenery and the smells and the ocean and checking it out and chatting a bunch, and and it was just really beautiful. Day was absolutely perfect. I couldn't have planned a better day, I don't think, at all. So it was really, really wonderful. Yeah, so we just kept cruising our way down the coast. We weren't sure where we were going to stay. We were just going to kind of see how far we got and pick somewhere when it got later tonight. So we'd just stop occasionally and take some pictures. One cool place which had this little inlet that we kind of wandered down to and checked it out and took some pictures down there, and the tide was coming in all we were down there, so we had to climb out a little bit, but it was super fun. Definitely had a good time there. Just like I said, a perfect day. We did stop and get some lunch finally at this little spot. There's a little general store next door, and heading in, and of course it was October time frame, so they had the giant pumpkin outside. Had to have Dad for a picture, but stop and get some food there. I think you got a Bloody Mary on that one or something. But the restaurant was really cool, a little swanky, kind of expensive, but it was really good. Definitely, food was really good, and they had that giant tree just in the middle of the restaurant there, which was a pretty neat feature that they didn't cut it down. You can see it there, which is cool. Wandered down to the river after that, and just to hang out and check it out, and met some people to go ahead and take a picture of us, which was cool. So we get a picture together down there. Loaded up. We were getting ready to pack back on the road and just keep going. Weather was still perfect, so we were heading down that way to see how far we wanted to get for the night. On the way to Hearst Castle, we stopped by to see some sea lions there on the side, and went to the bathroom before we got there too to check it out. We did go to the entrance to Hearst Castle, but there was going to be a long wait, and it was kind of getting closer to the end of the day, so we didn't want to have to pay and go do the whole tour. It was going to take a couple hours, so we wanted to get to our hotel. So we didn't actually go visit Hearst Castle, but we wandered around through the visitor center, which was pretty cool. There's a little golf course that I found a hotel at that was a pretty reasonable rate, so we ended up finding the spot to get there and stayed for the night. It was really nice, though. They had a place we could eat at the hotel as well, so we didn't have to go anywhere for that and hung out. I got to soak in the hot tub and enjoy that, which felt good after riding all day. Definitely getting pretty sore several days riding in a row. We got a really good night's sleep there. When we woke up, we sat on the back porch and watched the birds and the animals and everything, and just hung out and chatted. It was a really nice little morning to start our day for the next loop. The next day really wasn't going to be a big deal on the ride anyway, so we could definitely take our time a little more today. So it was nice to just hang out and drink some coffee on the deck there with you.
300 foot of wine tasting. Woo, sounds like you got a pretty good buzz on that.
Yeah, that's a lot of tasting of wine.
That like a glass every foot?
Yeah.
How many people made it all the way to the end of the line?
Yeah. Maybe you make it all the way to the end, you get a drink for free. You know, it's like all you can eat.
By the time you get down to the end of that line, it's pretty tasty, I bet.
This is cool, man. I want a driveway like this. That's just fucking 80-foot pine trees.
We got a decent start on the day, and we were heading inland. So we didn't really take a lot of photos of what the scenery looked like because it wasn't anything overly particularly special. But we wanted to head and get some breakfast. So we went towards Solvang, which is a really cool little Dutch town. Stopped there to get some food, hang out, and then after we ate, we wandered around because we were super full from eating a big meal and wandered around to a couple of the shops and just bopped around before we got on our way. We weren't in a big hurry because we didn't have very long to drive. Not far from Malibu is where we ended up staying, a place called Sycamore Beach. It's like a public park that we were able to stay at, and there was a beach just right down the road. So we got a cool little spot. Of course, all the camping spots are real crammed together, like typical campgrounds, but it worked out good for us because we were so close. And we got a good little setup, nice and flat, so that was good. But wandered down to the beach and hung out for a while there, got some sun, sat on the breeze, wandered up and down the beach, and we were heading out, and thankfully I looked in my helmet like I normally do because it ended up I had a little visitor hanging out in my helmet, and it probably would have been pretty unenjoyable to put it on, but I saw him before I did. And we headed back to the campsite and just hung out the rest of the night. Took a nice hot shower. They had showers there, and ended up tucking in for the night and getting a good night's rest. It was really a pretty nice night. It was our last day. We packed up our campsite for the last time. We ended up using the extra gas tank that I'd built for the 690. We never ended up needing the gas boat, so we filled up off that one just so we used the gas up and there was nothing in it. Filled up and just headed through. Didn't really take many footage here because it's just Los Angeles and nobody wants to see that. Nothing particularly interesting. We tried to make our time. Couldn't split traffic too well because the bike I was riding was pretty wide with all the gear on it. But that's all right. We made pretty good time heading through town, headed back to drop off the bike from the guy that I'd rented it for. So we had to head pretty far south to get to that. But it was really fun. We really had a good time, and the weather was absolutely perfect. I couldn't have imagined it being any better. So this last little part here, I tried to take a picture of you. This is so funny because the whole time that the 690 getting on the bike with all that stuff on the back, it's like 4.5 feet tall, but Dad's so lanky and long leg that to get on the bike, he'd kick his leg over the top of all that gear and just swing it over, which was just the coolest thing to see. So I tried to get a video of it this last time, but it of course doesn't do it justice, but I thought it was about one of the coolest things ever. Just swinging your leg over that high that you're still that flexible is really awesome, Dad. As time does, it always seems like things go so fast, and looking back on it and making this video, you're like, wow, there's a lot that happened, and of course I could never take as many pictures, and dealing with the headset didn't stay alive as long because we wanted it for audio, which was the best part, so we could talk the whole time. So the little bit of capture of footage that I caught from us riding is just a tiny fraction, but it was really good time, Dad. I'm so glad. It's something I'd always hoped we got to do in our life, and we managed to finally do it. And better late than never, for sure. And I hope that this is something that we can make like a relatively commonplace, every year or two, or as often as possible. Because man, that was just fun. And not that it has to be us every time, but I'm really glad that you and I got one time to ride down the coast together because it's always something I want to do. So I really appreciate you being able to take the time and coming out, Dad. And it was everything I'd hoped it to be from both a weather perspective and getting to hang out. And one of those kind of once-in-a-lifetime things. I'm thankful for it, man. So this was supposed to be your birthday present. I'm a little behind. I'm a little stuffy, so you can probably hear in my throat. My voice is a little bit stuffy because I'm kind of sick, but I wanted to get it together to get it to you. So happy birthday, man. I love the shit out of you, Dad, and all the times that I've got to ride on motorcycles, like I said, it wouldn't be without you if you wouldn't have kind of pushed that habit onto me to some degree and all of that. So I love you, man.